Hello. Okay, we're going to be going over the IDing texture ID process. It's fairly simplistic, fairly straightforward, and I'm going to show you two methods of doing it. Okay, so the first method is going to be pulling your UVs into an image editing software package, such as like Photoshop or Paint or anything that you've got and you feel most comfortable using. The second method is going to be doing it within 3ds Max. Predominantly because I just want to kind of show you that you can do it in software. You don't have to necessarily take any of it out, and then obviously we're going to put it into Substance Painter, and I'll show you the masking process and all the rest of it. So as you can see here, I've already unwrapped my model into their separate quads. What I'm going to do here is just export this UV to show you how to do it in Photoshop first. Okay, so render UV template. Choose your resolution that you want. I mean, I'm personally just going to stick with 1024 because why not? Right, so we have our UV map inside of Photoshop. It's all good and dandy. Okay, so what we're going to do is just quite simply select. I know, like you can pretty much just use a brush or like one of these tools here, and just select like a block of color, and just, I don't know, because this one isn't like next to anything, I just go over it like that. Then I could select like another color. That should do. So just export this as, I don't know, like a JPEG or whatever you want. So I'll just call this ID. Also, we actually need to export our model with our UVs attached. And we open it up within Painter. So this is on our desktop. So box. Okay. And then obviously it brings in your box. Wow. This is all stuff that you would have seen before. And then within our texture settings, bear with me, within our texture settings, select ID map. Now before we do that, we need to import a resource. So we go to add resources, look for our ID, so this is my ID. I'll pop this into my texture, into current session, hit import, there it is. Then within ID map, look up, I know, whatever you've called it, texture ID, there we go. So now this should have the ID map. So when we, let's just create a folder here a sec. Right, so if we create a layer, I could have just used the other one. Screw it, we'll do this. What you want to do is within each folder or each layer, you want to create a mask. So you click on the mask button here, and then add mask with color selection. You click on that, pick color, and then you see that you've got all of these bits here. So you hit green, for example, which I think the green was like over here. Yeah, it was. Yeah. So now with that selected, everything within this folder will only affect this bit here. As you can see, like if I scribble along here or on here, it doesn't affect any of the other pieces. Okay, but if I, for example, create like another folder, this time we're going to do it like we're going to hit pink, which means that whenever we paint in this area, it's only going to go within the areas which are pink or red or any, whatever. So it's not going to go on there unless we select our other layer and then start painting on that, and it doesn't go into the other side. What I'll do now is I will obviously show you how to basically create this, but within like your 3D modeling package. Now, obviously, it's going to be different depending on what you use, but the fundamentals are more or less the same. I'm pretty sure you can do you can do texture baking or material baking. Sorry. Within Maya, maybe even Blender. But again, you have to look that up yourself because I don't know how to do any other software other than 3ds Max. Okay, so it's fairly simplistic, fairly simple. all you have to do really is you would define. Well, yeah, actually, let's do it now. So let's go to edit poly. Using this, you would define the define the colors of each part of your mesh. So, or like your material ID. So let's just say I want this to be ID number 1, right? Then I want ID number 2 to be here, and then the rest of it will be ID number 3. Okay. Within here, we create a sub material. Not a sub material. Sorry. It's a multi. Yeah. So you create a multi sub, which looks like this. Very easy. Just deselect that and apply that. As you can see, it looks black because there is nothing currently plugged into it. We want to create 3 standards and just plug them in. Let's just make this a little bit neater. There we go. Okay, and then within each of these, we want to obviously just put in our colors. They can be whatever you want. Okay. All you need to make sure that you do at this point is set the self illumination to 100%, just so we don't get any shadows or anything. Because if you bake your texture with shadows, or with like the default properties and stuff, it will apply, or like shade. Basically, it'll be shaded, and so you'll get like parts which are darker than other parts. I hope that makes sense. Basically, don't worry about it. Just chuck everything up to 100. Just chuck everything up to 100. Okay, so as you can see here, everything is now applied. So now we have red, blue, and green parts of the cube. As it's already been unwrapped, all we need to do now is just kind of bake it. So I've already set up my output path. Let's just go down. I've also apparently already added my diffuse path, but either way, let's go through this again. So you want to set up your output to be a diffuse map. Let's also change that to something which I'm a little bit more familiar. Well, I say I'm a bit more familiar with. I'm just going to change it to PNG because PNG is good. I like PNGs. And again, we're going to change it to 124 by 124. That looks all good. Like the default settings are typically pretty alright. Hit render. And there we go. We basically have exactly the same thing, but except it's actually restricted by the UV map itself. Okay, so we just... Oh yeah, it's already saved, isn't it? So that's all good. So as you can see, this is the ID map that we made before. This is the ID map which we made within the software. And it's pretty much exactly the same as what we did before, okay? So you just replace that ID map with the other one. Easy. Oh yeah, that's something. Before I disappear, you might see in places that you get this weird kind of artifacting on the edge, as you can see here, like it doesn't quite go all the way to the edge. One way that we can fix that is just upping the tolerance just a smidge. Not too much that it affects the whole thing, but just enough so that it kind of edges over towards the edge. So then you get these nice kind of clean, even-ish lines. You might have to up it again a bit more. Yeah, see? There we go. And now it's all the way to the edge. Don't worry too much about it kind of bleeding over like that. That should be fine. And besides, like, I'm sure your models will be a lot better than this. But anyway, I hope that explains or answers your question. I'm sure it does. If you have any more questions, please do feel free to inbox me either personally or leave a comment or something. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope I helped.